At wedding receptions and the band or the DJ, nothing I can do. Well, so I don't broadcast some often. Hey, gang, welcome. Oh no, I'm not here yet. Let me get started with a brush here. Are we here? Nope. Hey, friends, welcome. Thank you for joining me today. This is Tuesday afternoon. I always want to say on Ocracoke or in Ocracoke. Ocracoke is an island, so I'm on an island called Ocracoke. I guess Ocracoke is a town. We're in a town called Ocracoke, North Carolina. All you North Carolinians know it very well. Let me show you. Guys, I'm going to show you for a minute. Here's three of my friends. Here's David, Richard, and Mike. I'm trying not to drive them crazy. If you follow me, if you listen to me very often, you've heard me talk about Mike, especially. Everything I said about him, I now repent, because he's right over there. Okay, I am nearly finished with Katie's face. Looking at it with fresh eyes this morning. And there's one, that I can see one tiny little change at the moment that I need to make. Actually, more than one, but okay, I'm gonna start with a little bit more hook in her top lip on both sides, a little more up. Trying to paint people this small is crazy, but here I am. I knew the job was dangerous when I took it. Again, this is the kind of painting that I'm usually ranting and raving about at my students. Tongue painting, I call it. But tiny portraits are an exception to the rule. Okay, now this eye looks like it's at the wrong angle, because it is at the wrong angle. I hope I can fix it really quickly. I'm anxious to get on. I worked on Katie and Corey yesterday a good bit. So as far as wedding paintings go, this is I think the least finished wedding painting I've ever done, because it was sort of got a late start, and worked on the faces a good bit. Didn't reach a great deal of success, and then the reception ended at 10 o'clock. So I've got more work to do on this wedding painting than any that I can remember. But I'd love to finish it today. Now here I'm looking at the whites, quote unquote, the white of her eye. You know, don't you, that when you're painting, you dare not use that term white. Because if you do, you'll mix up a mess of paint that's too white. Don't call it the white of the eye, because it's not white. What color is it? Hard to say. Gray, certainly. But what shade? Warm gray, cool gray, it can vary quite a bit. Especially at this size, at this ridiculous size. And I am using here, again, a Winsor Newton Series 7 brush, which is the best brush ever made. And yesterday I mentioned that, and I forgot to mention that I'll put a link, if you want to order one of these, or some of these brushes, if you want to order a Winsor Newton Series 7, I'm going to put a link in the description of this video. And I'm going to start doing that more and more when I start bragging on products. I'm going to put a link there that you can order right from here. One more tiny change on Katie's face, then I'm going to go over and look at Corey's face. I need to shave just a tiny bit off the left side of her mouth. Her right side, our left. And what color is it? Yeah, the darker of the flesh tones. One of the darker flesh tones. You might have heard me, I'm using right now a little bit of raw umber, which is my new, in the last several months, my go-to paint for killing color. When I've mixed up a color and it's just a little bit too bright, raw umber is my go-to, and I have found that student grade raw umber, it makes the job a little bit easier because it's not as powerful as a expensive. So you had some student grade. Oh, I know, I remember now. There was another thing, not quite so difficult or delicate. I need to shave off Katie's fingers just a little bit. So let me go back to the photograph. Here's, some of you remember perhaps if you were with me. And there's her hand. One of the things I like about the Droid phone, I can fill up the entire screen with nothing but her hand. And it's like 8 times bigger than the painting I'm doing. Rusty, I've got a very awkward, careful of this, when we walk through there. Sorry. Rusty just showed up. Okay, so I'm going to shave off. Oh, you know what? I need some liquid. I'll have to run up to the car and get some later. Again, look at this horrible grip. I don't know any way to avoid this when you're doing portraits this size. And it's all right-handed, you know, so all my smart aleck, you know, left-handed stuff is out the window. I just discovered a horrible drawing error here. I'll come back and fix it. In a bit. Can you guys even see what I'm doing here? Okay, little break. I need to run and get some, little bit of liquid out of my car. Quick break, I'll be back. I'm back. Evidently I'm having some connectivity issues because these broadcasts keep getting broadcast as separate entities. Sorry about that. Just a quick little detour here. I just picked up a brush a minute ago and found it stiff as a board. Irritating. So I thought I will point out for you a quick way, quick is relative, 5 or 10 minutes, to revive a stiff brush. One of them is with Gojo. I think there's another product called Goop. I'm not sure about that, but they're all similar. This is a hardware store product, not an art store product. Maybe they sell it in an art store. And I've heard that Murphy's Oil Soap does the same thing, but I don't know. I've had good luck with this. So you just begin working. Can you get hard on your hand, actually? But it'll take me several minutes, but for some reason today, I really want this brush to work. I don't want to give up. And I'm not going to show you the whole thing, but I just want to show you that several minutes of working this brush with this hand cleaner. It's already somewhat improved, but I believe I can do better than that. It's still kind of stiff. So that's all. I just want to show you that real quick, and I'll take another break here. We'll be back in a few minutes. So now I'm doing a little bit out of normal order here, not on purpose, just by intuitive accident. It's time to paint, to render this chandelier that's hanging behind Katie. Mixing up transparent, because I'm going to draw, so to speak, draw with small brushes. Here's my photo reference. I took a close-up of the chandelier itself, even though you can't see that very well. You can see it just well enough. Chandeliers are challenging. I'll give you a quick how to paint chandeliers lesson, okay? For me, the answer is you paint the outermost silhouette. That is, that it's got these arms that come up from the middle, right, and go around like this. One row here, another row here, another row here, about 4 rows. Paint the outline of the chandelier, the outermost arms, the arms that are perpendicular, or that are parallel to your plane of vision. The ones that are flattest to you, I'm trying to say in other words. Because it's real easy to get mixed up. So there you go. And then, what's the next one? Comes down like this, goes way out here. This side, of course, goes behind Katie. And wait, there is more. Next, we have another row of arms that go, man. I can't tell how they go. I think they go like this. There's definitely a little curlicue right there. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then there's one that goes like this. Need a little more dark paint here. And it goes like this. And then the final one is a bowl shape. It goes like this. And hanging from the bowl are crystals. Of course, there's crystals hanging this everywhere. Okay, so that's basically, if you will, that's the outline of the chandelier. It doesn't look anything like the chandelier though, right? Because the real chandelier has all these arms. So the easiest way for me to do it is to, let's take this top section. So this is the outermost. I'm going to move this over half a tick. And then draw, come in from there, in from there, in from there. This curve here, if it didn't go up quite as far because it's coming toward us, it would go like this, and the next one like this, and the next one would just be, we'd see it on end. Does that make sense? In other words, I paint it sort of analytically the way it's built. I don't know if that makes any sense to you at all, but I try to paint it the way it actually is, starting at the outer edges and then coming toward you. Otherwise, I just get hopelessly confused. Okay, can you see that? It looks kind of like this chandelier. I actually think I'm being a little bit humble. It looks quite a bit like this chandelier. Of course, the outer branches are closer to each other because they're going around a curve. As it comes toward the middle, they become more sparse. A tree has very much this same kind of characteristic trees do. Okay, of course, all I'm painting right now is dark stuff, not the sparkle. But I will go ahead and do indicate some of the candles, for which, as you know, I've already done the sort of out of order. I've already done the lights. And you might say, well, what about the ones going, you got these coming toward you, what about the ones going the other way? And I go, yeah. At that point, unless you're doing hyperrealism, no, at that point, the ones going away from you just become part of the visual mess. Let me say that. Okay, so that looks, I think, quite a bit like this chandelier. Now, what I'm really anxious to do is come in and do the light around that. In fact, some of that, what I just did, all that I just did is a little bit overdrawn. I mean overdrawn in an artistic sense of the word. So I'm actually going to come in here and just mess it up, everything up slightly with a rag. Just mess it up a little bit because it was just a little too careful. Which, by the way, that also is a good trick. There's sometimes, like this happens most often when I'm doing not a crowd of people, but say 2 people walking on a sidewalk, 30 feet away from the viewer, you know, so up close enough. You've got to get that anatomy right. You can't say, oh, there's just 2 people and you put in blobs. You have to get it right. So you have to do some pretty analytical, even tongue painting, right? You gotta draw those people. You can't just blob them in because everybody in the world will see if they're wrong, anatomically incorrect. So you'll draw them. But then at the end of the drawing process, you go, oh, dang it, my whole painting is impressionistic, but those 2 people are now way, like I just what happened right here, way too tight. Not to worry. You do what I just did right there, which is draw it neat, and then, believe it or not, mess it up. I've done that with so many figures in my paintings over the years. You've got to draw them accurately, or they'll look terrible. So draw them accurately, and then follow up by just scribbling on them a little bit. See, that chandelier now, it's accurate, but it's loose. Cool trick, huh? Okay, so I've got a little bit more to do that I don't think you necessarily need to watch me do. Just some drawing here and there, dark drawing. I'll worry about the lighter drawing later. For instance, the details at the tops of these columns need a little bit more accuracy. Some of the mullions, some. I want to add a little color into those. I had picked up a little violet. Some of these mullions I want just a little bit more precise, especially ones that are close to Corey and Katie. Okay, mullions, that's what these things are called, that are the sticks in a window, you know, the boards, the skinny boards in a window. I've got one completely missing up here. Not to worry. By the way, again, I sound like a broken record sometimes, I know, but some of you have missed this. Anytime you're indicating, drawing a highly repeated motif, any shape that appears a whole bunch of times, obviously in this painting it's the mullions in the windows appear 50 times, right? When you paint a repeated motif, it's a really good idea to figure out how you can render that repetition in many different ways. You don't want to paint all 50 mullions, if you will, the same way. This by now is probably the 6th or 7th or 8th time I've rendered these mullions, so they're getting nice and expressive, nice and messy. I will come back in the final edit and I will clean up some of them. I don't know how much, it's not my job right now to know how much. I just know I'll clean them up somewhat. Right now, some of them need a little bit more. Oh, and way around here, they definitely need some. I didn't realize how much I'd missed over here. This window goes around the corner of the painting, of course. Okay. Similar operation for the railing behind Katie and Corey. The railing, wrought iron, contemporary style, not all curly-Q like a traditional, French Quarter or Charleston, South Carolina. Now this is a contemporary but still wrought iron railing. And it's mostly done, but needs just a little bit of dark lines here and there. Yeah, that's better. Oh, I forgot. There's a double bar, or a double horizontal bar at the top and the bottom. That makes a big difference. Whew, there we go. That looks more like it. Looks more like the railing that was actually there. And then, of course, there's a railing that goes downstairs. I want to indicate, because that's the clearest indicator in this painting, that there's stairs there. This figure right here is going to be Katie's dad. It's a special request from her. Her dad passed away just a couple months before the wedding. And she said, this might be really weird, but anyway, I assured her, no, that was not at all weird. That was very sweet. So she sent me a couple pictures of her father. And I'm going to just hint him in there. Not going to do a portrait by any means. Just enough so she can tell, they can tell that it's her dear dad. So it's sweet. Glad to be able to do that. Okay, let me take a step back. Well, I guess, yeah, part of that would be doing him right now. And some hints at people over here. I'm going to do something quite unusual for me, not at this point. I'm going to do another fuzz layer. Because usually I do this drawing before the fuzz layer, and I want to do some fuzz on the people, maybe down here a little bit. Okay, I'll take a quick break, be back in a few minutes. Hey, thank you for that comment. Your stream is lagging. Wow. Okay, so I've done several different things since we last talked. Did some fuzz inside the chandelier and some fuzz layer down here. That means soft, translucent bits of light. And now, because of all that fuzzy stuff, I feel like I can come back and do some a little bit more pencil. Again, not because I need to draw, but because I like a little bit more texture. That's the main reason I use a pencil. Of course, it is advantageous or helpful for rendering stuff, of course. Especially, like I use it a lot when I'm in the under painting stages of portraiture. But the main purpose of the pencil is I just like the look, how the scratchy lines contrast with the smooshy edges of the paint. I just like the scratchiness of it. I think it looks cool. Especially on some of these faces here. I can use some faces and figures, I should say. around the edges too. Okay, enough of that. As I was doing that, I realized need to get a couple white or light shirts, a couple light white shirts in here for some of these men wearing coats and ties. This is not a tux wedding, this was a suit wedding. Again, what I'm doing right now is definitely in the fuzz realm. It's not in the final edit layer. All right, I'm going to take a break there. That was a very short broadcast. And when I come back, I'll be doing final edit. Generally speaking, hard edges, generally harder edges, more opaque paint, and light, hard edges, final edit. Coming back in a few minutes. Thanks for watching. Oops, all right. I believe I am almost finished with this painting. I think I've done everything except for my new last step. It's so new that I forget it half the time these days, but I think it's a good one. I started about 2 months ago. Here it is, and I call it broken color. Where I introduce bits of color into the painting, hoping I don't get too dotty. We're not looking here for realism. I've just mixed up a medium, slightly dirty purple. And the key here is I'm looking for any place in the painting that already has this value, this lightness, darkness. I don't want to put anything down that's much lighter or much darker than what's already here. I want the same color, the same value, but a different color. Now, what led to this introduction into this new discovery a couple months ago, I was in one of those moments of, I'll call it mild discouragement. Pretty much just a moment. Not huge, but it's like, frustration with my, lack of growth. What am I missing kind of stuff. And I can't remember now if I did it online or probably did. Just started looking at paintings that I admire. And so what are they doing that I'm not? What do they see that I don't see? And I just think because of my intensity of desire to improve, I said, you know what? A lot of the people that I really admire their work, they just have a little more color in their paintings. And so one way that I saw that I could achieve that was by doing this trick, if you will, called broken color. Same value, so not lighter or darker than what's already there. Same value, different color. You can put a little bit on Corey's tux there. Okay, so I've done a bunch of purple. Let me red that up with some permanent rose. Wow, that's stout. I'm too scared. I'm too scared to put that kind of color in my painting. So let me dull that down a little bit. Okay, now it's a kind of a plum color. And again, looking for places that already has this value, but not this color. And I'm sorry, you probably can hardly even see what I'm doing. I'm being pretty subtle. I'm going to go back to a purple here for a minute. And I've got a darker purple now than I did a minute ago. So all of a sudden I see an opportunity on this wrought iron railing. I see an opportunity for color. But the color I had on my brushes a little while ago was too light. Too light for this. Now it's a darker color. And remember, what I'm doing right now basically has nothing to do with realism per se. I'm not trying to accurately portray the color of something, but it does have something to do with realism in that I think the way our eyes, this is what the Impressionists tried to teach the human race, that we see a lot of color in our world that we don't consciously perceive, but it's there. The world is full of subtle color shifts that our mind doesn't really, it doesn't rise to a conscious level. But of course, as artists, it's supposed to. Okay, that's enough of that. Let me just switch. I'm being very arbitrary here. I've done a bunch of purple. Now I'm going to mix up some dark orange, medium dark orange. And again, I'm not looking for things that are orange. I'm looking for places that are the same value as what I've just mixed up.
I'm going to run up for a second. You need me to pick up something for you, or you want to ride? I'll come later. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. You still talking?
Yep. Okay, now anywhere. If I put down this color like that right there, that's considerably lighter than what's underneath, and that's not a color break, that's a values break. I'm breaking the value of that spot right there. And that's okay too. That's legal. It's just that's not what I'm trying to do right now. What I'm trying to do right now is color, add color to my painting. So I've been happy with the results of this lately, the effect that this has had on my paintings. Adding more sparkle, more life, more energy. I'm going to move this light. It's getting just a little bit dark out here, so I set this up a minute ago. But now it's in my way, so we'll go without it for a bit. Okay, I'm afraid, because you can hardly see what I'm doing, I'm afraid I'm boring you to tears. So let me move on. I'm going to mix up one more color. I did purple. Well, one more before I stop broadcasting. I did purple. I did orange. Now I'm going to do green. Now, there is a pattern here, by the way. So think, what do these three colors have in common? I'm not saying this is the only way to do color breaks, but I do find that I gravitate to these two. Think about it. Purple, orange, green. What do all those colors have in common? They are secondary colors. They're all secondary, right? They are the three colors that lay between, right between the three primary colors. And I don't think that's a hard and fast rule by any means, but for some reason, I find that it works almost all the time. I tend to do secondary colors more than primary. I could do red, I could do blue, but anyway, I'm just finding that secondary colors do this color breaking thing really well. Oh, I'm so glad. Again, I don't know how well you can see this, but this railing here that was before this, just a few minutes ago, before I started the color break, it was all the same color brown. And now it's got little bits of purple and orange and green in it, and it's just has come alive. It's like, dang, I'm glad I didn't forget to do this. Wow. What a difference it's made. What a difference it's made. A little bit of green again in Josh's, in Corey's tux. Not indicating, not hinting, oh, it's like, why is there green there? The answer is because it looks cool. Of course, right? That's the answer to all art questions. Why'd you do that? The answer is because it looks cool. Or because I thought it would look cool. Before I put it down, I thought it would look cool. All right. I think that's probably enough, considering I'm doing stuff that you probably can't even see. I will tell you that after I turn off the camera, I will probably mix up a little bit of blue and red and look for just little tiny bits of color break. But that'll do it for this broadcast. Congratulations, Katie and Corey. Hope you guys have a long and happy marriage. And thank you guys for watching me do this video. Again, I will post a photograph of it on my YouTube community page, also on my Facebook page, also on my weddingpaintermagic.com. Thanks, guys.